We have one more short, because we know it's getting late, but guest speaker to share some words of wisdom with you. He's been an inspirational example of leadership to so many, and on a personal note, his innovative achievements have inspired me, and so I'm just really happy to call him up tonight after I introduce him. And that's Bart Harvey. As the former chair and CEO of Enterprise Community Partners, Bart is credited with growing Enterprise's impact from investing. Listen to these figures, this is pretty cool. Okay, so he was part of Enterprise. They were investing $200 million, helping produce over 5,000 affordable homes annually. He helped to grow that to $1 billion, producing more than 20,000 homes annually. Those are some staggering figures. He also led Enterprise's launch of the Green Community Initiative, an unprecedented commitment to sustainable development in low-income communities nationwide. Along with Enterprise co-founder James Rouse, Bart helped Congress create the low-income housing tax credit. When I learned that, I was like, whoa, that's cool, because we've said, I'm a big fan of that. Bart helped and that provides financing for the majority of affordable rental homes in the country. Before joining Enterprise, Bart served for 10 years in various domestic and international corporate finance positions with Dean Witter Reynolds, now Morgan Stanley. And after leaving Enterprise in March 2008, he was appointed to Fannie Mae's board, where he still serves. Another one of Bart's current commitments is serving as chairman of the board for the Calvert Social Investment Foundation, perhaps best known for their community investment note that harnesses the power of impact investing to connect, cultivate, and inspire those who want to shape the world for good. Since 1995, more than 18,000 investors have invested over $1.4 billion through the note. Their portfolio reaches all 50 states in the US and more than 100 countries worldwide across 9 impact sectors. Their investors benefit from a 100% repayment rate in both principal and interest, while generating positive social and environmental returns worldwide. And this is very much aside from that, but a cool fact. In the year 2000, Bart was recognized by the Hill School when he received a 6th Form Leadership Award. So as an ever-learning student of community and economic development, which is what I'm doing now, I am a huge and unapologetic fan of all that Bart represents in both person and in practice, so it's with great pleasure that I introduce him today. Welcome, Bart.
Twyla, thank you very much, and thank you for being the face of the Hill School in the surrounding neighborhood, for all that you have done, all that you will do going forward. And it's your positive attitude that will make a real difference to this entire effort. I've got about 50 pages here for you. How are you all for dessert? But I promise to be brief in some closing remarks. But it's a special pleasure to follow a classmate that I actually liked when he was here at the Hill School during our years together. And I really respect every endeavor in his life that he's done since. And Tom has done it his way. You've heard that. You heard it from Bob, you heard it from others, with integrity, curiosity, enthusiasm, compassion, entrepreneurship, patience, and persistence in his ideals and his practices. Those are key qualities for a community developer. And the great state of Pennsylvania is so very lucky to have a gifted community developer in chief in Tom. And he will make a difference in every community in Pennsylvania if you let him, if you work together and let him do it. By saying Tom did it his way, who else goes to the Peace Corps halfway through college or finishes his PhD from MIT while running a forklift in a warehouse, or risks everything he has to buy out a family enterprise so he can greatly and successfully expand it. He then sells it so he can run successfully for office, and then, while launching a gubernatorial campaign, suspends it because people from that company come to him and say they're on the brink of bankruptcy. And he leaves politics to go back to the company. You heard this in Bob's introduction, and through reinventing it, through successful investments in it, but most importantly, by incentivizing all of his employees and their contributions, he succeeds again. You know, that all sounds great. That's like a movie, but it's really hard work. And thank goodness, Tom, you picked up that gubernatorial campaign and you ran again and won. And I hope everybody works with you for the values that both parties hold together. And I mention all this because Tom exemplifies through his life's work what really good community development is all about. Now, he's trying to do that for the whole state of Pennsylvania. We in this room only have to do that for Pottstown. This should be easy, right? And his campaign motto is jobs that pay, schools that teach, government that works. And I'd add one, people that trust in each other and believe in the future of Pennsylvania and in the future of Pottstown. Why not embrace that here as a starting point? In countless areas where Enterprise has worked as part of a large community development program that succeeded, leaders inevitably have come to the process through every walk of life, from government, as investors, from the community. And there's a change that occurs, and it occurs from a pervasive sense that nothing works to a pervasive sense that everything can work. You need to break down barriers, you need to think differently, you need to engage residents, you need to turn things around. And you can do this. I don't think we've ever believed that we can really do this. And it can happen in Pottstown. It ought to happen in Pottstown. It will happen somewhere else if it doesn't happen in Pottstown. And it's a lot of fun. And I can say that from 10 years on Wall Street and then 24 years doing community development. And about 25 years ago, a leader named M. Tamanika Youngblood, she ran a nonprofit that targeted the area around around Ebenezer Baptist Church and Martin Luther King's mausoleum. And it was a historic site, and the neighborhoods around it were terrible. And they were ridden with crime, and there was abandoned buildings, and there was distress and chaos everywhere. And I remember what she did, and she did some of the things that Twyla is doing now. She said, this is a national disgrace. It's a disgrace for Atlanta, it's a national disgrace. And she started in the neighborhoods, and she started listening and talking and getting people engaged and getting the sense that something could change. And then she went to the local government, and then she went to national leaders, and I was one of them. You know, M. Tamanika had good graces. She had sweet talk, but she was a velvet glove and an iron fist, and she didn't take no well. And so she talked me, really Enterprise, but they all said, that's your loan, Bart, into buying this terrible complex, apartment complex that was nearby. And I'll never forget this. And I went down to see it with her. And as we were approaching the apartment complex and we were rehabbing it, shots, this is in the middle of the day, shots rang out. All the workers started running for the exits. sprinting to their trucks and exiting. I turned around and started going the other way. I looked at M. Tamanika, and she was mad, and she just strode ever more forcefully into the apartment complex. Now, I was a little bit ashamed, and I followed behind her, way behind her, into that complex. And so you take this whole story and you bring it to, 7 years later. Our problem was that the area had been transformed and we had to stop the investments going in and the gentrification that was happening. It was extraordinary. And I think what you say that M. Tamanika had was grit. And that's what we need here in Pottstown. It will be very different in Pottstown. It will be even harder. You need cooperation to be total. There are scarcer resources here. You need strategic investments. You need people re-energized and trust built. I'm proud of Zach Lehman. I'm proud of the Board of Trustees of the Hill School for committing to this process in earnest. And I'm very proud of Pottstown's leaders for committing their time and energy to this effort. They have plenty to do, let me tell you. So it's wonderful that they are part of this. Hobart's run is a beginning. I think Tom said that as well. And it's off to a very promising start, focused on neighbors and creating a clean, safe, inclusive community with sustainable homeownership and economic development. Twyla Fisher has the right spirit. Building trust comes first, re-energizing people and belief in the future, finding leaders, cooperating and sharing strategy with local governments and authorities. There are meetings that she hosts for all of these different things. Then strategic investments need to follow. Momentum needs to build. For the Hill School, it is clear that its welfare, and this is something Tom said beautifully, its welfare is inextricably linked to the well-being of the larger community. For Pottstown, the Hill School can be an indispensable asset for revitalization. Investors in this process of all types are needed. I'd say to Jack, he could have far more fun than he had in renovating all of this and doing this and in investing in this process. And you can still go to Florida every now and then. So nothing flows smoothly in community development. True grit will be needed. We can do this. Thank you. Have a great day tomorrow. And I think that's the end.